Well, speaking of Mr. Keshe, how would we like to listen to him for 20 minutes or so here with the Keshe American Knowledge team of last Sunday. And this is the part clipped out with Mr. Keshe. So maybe we can listen to what he has to say there. So a lot of people probably missed that meeting. And this is the crux of the part with Mr. Keshe. So maybe that'll inspire us to some further conversation here. Okay, here we go.
Hello, Mr. Keshe.
Yes.
Hello, it's Micah Green here from Canada. I just wondered if you had any update on progress for Canada for the Plasma Wellness Center, if that's anything moving forward with that.
We have already explained that before. The enhancement center systems are getting so rapidly developed. Part of the flight enhancement unit is part of it, that sometime after November, December, we will release the systems when it's updated, when we do the flight tests and everything else. Part which goes for the enhancement units will be separated and be released. It's a technological development. It's part of it you already hear with people who've been to LINS, like what we call physical changes or emotional changes. We build the systems to, in a way, we are testing the body enhancement units within the context of the flight system, because we are responsible for that part. So once the systems are complete, instead of releasing and then adding to or changing, all be released from that point onwards. This technological development is huge. So if we would have released it, system was sitting in China. If we would have released them, then we had to change them. Everything has changed, and now even we changed part of the enhancement unit this week or past week. It's too rapid, too big changes. And those of you who've been in the LINS and you've been in the system, you've seen very miniature systems around. And it's not the huge structures which we had before. So it'll be released once we feel comfortable that at least till the next jump, we need a year or 2 years, we will hold back. It's the same with Arizona. Arizona will be the first place receiving it because we are partners in Arizona. And it's no use for us to shipping and then changing and shipping again.
Is it my understanding that the president still needs to sign the peace treaty before you can ship to Arizona?
There are a lot of things happening. I was around what do you call it, Peace Talk conference yesterday in Vienna, and we are hoping some sort of conclusion to be reached. But as you heard on Thursday teaching, we have walked away from the discussions with the Iranian government in respect to the, what I call, enrichment of materials to weapon grade, which is against what we believe and what we work with. And this has brought some good direction work for us. And we know at this moment of time, Iranian government is not happy at all for us taking this position since, as we announced on Thursday. We have to see what comes from the American administration. They have shown literally 2 or 3 hours after the teaching of Thursday, close of teaching, we received a very open response from the White House in respect to the Keshe Foundation work. And those of you who know, have listened to it, it was such an immediate response in us walking away from working with the Iranian, what we call authorities, in respect to what the wrong decision has been to enrich further to weapons like weapon grade. And he has, you've seen the reaction from Tehran immediately the next day inside the Keshe Foundation. We hope, and as we said, we start negotiation in a different direction. We have already started it to see if can be reached in a different direction. It's impossible. In a way, they say 97%. The peace talk in Vienna has been reached in the last 3%, which in a way, the last 1% is impossible. It is for the Americans to accept and for the Iranians to walk away. We can get to 99%, that 1%. Iranians have a step down, but the new enrichments, what was gone through last week, is not beneficial to no one. And we do not understand why. And I tried to open negotiation with Iran. I was in the Iranian embassy on Wednesday. And it's impossibilities to see unless something else happens. But weapon, what I call grade uranium, is not in the interest of Iran. It's not in the interest of the whole of Middle East, and especially for peace. And Iranian top officials have immediately responded very late on Friday to us. And we know exactly what is and what can be done, and Keshe Foundation has taken a new stand in this position.
Thank you very much, Mr. Keshe.
You got to understand, our technology is the key to all the work we do and what we deliver. We are not religious organization. We are not a spiritual organization. We are a scientific organization who within it has the responsibility to do so much work. And this is what bothers many people. As we said, especially with the new flight enhancement units, which now has been set up, ready to go on the full test in a few weeks' time. We changed the dimension, we changed the whole work. Sometime in September, as we announced, we start the full process of transmutation. The systems have been built and it's not theoretical. We have done certain amount of work. Prior to tests from Linz, we will start certain amount of work on transmutation in around August, September. And that's why we said, any of you who can come to Linz in the first phase of September, October, we need it to be done. If we cannot come sponsor others, we have many people who like to join, but they cannot afford it or they cannot get it done and are looking for sponsors. If you cannot reach sponsor somebody else, or let the foundation find people who already been in, but they could not do it more than once, because that allows us to work forward. We don't want to test more than 30 to 50 people. And once we transmutation complete, then I think the game will change. Thank you very much.
Thank you for sitting in with us. I don't know if you were babysitting or elevating the souls in the participants list, but you were certainly there for quite a long time observing, I suppose, as you usually say, and coming in humbler than anyone else in the meeting. So there's probably some work you were doing in the background. It's a minute before midnight on my time. There it is. It just changed to midnight in Europe. I don't know if Mr. Keshe would like to share anything else, or would any of the people here like to ask a question if he's willing to take any questions? Well, what I plan to do was to bring in the part that Mr. Keshe brought up. And again, most of you have already heard this about what we need to be aware of and what is potentially coming in the fall.
Perhaps we'd like to move from this video of Mr. Keshe to some real life conversation. I believe that, I'm gonna put on my glasses so I can see here. Is it true that,
He's a little deep in the participants list.
yes, I see him there. We have lots of panelists here. Hello, Mr. Keshe. I see you in the list. Would
Good
you
morning.
like to make yourself known and what
Yes.
brings you to this?
Yes, I just came in just to listen, to see what's the development as a participant.
That's what you said last time, and then we got
Yeah.
led on a long journey into ourselves.
No, everything is shut for next 2 weeks, so there are no surprises. We set things up when the foundation is shut down on the experiment side till 22nd.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a bunch of people still on the flight simulation. And we are getting people coming in for the transmutation to see what we can do.
Mr. Keshe, Jacob was telling us that the systems continue to run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Correct? We're able to link into these systems?
The systems don't get shut down only for changes or repairs or other things. We keep a constant field presence. We do not shut down. We do not, there is no need for it to be done.
Hello, Mr. Keshe. May I ask you, could you explain in simple words what are the results of negotiation for peace right now?
Negotiation finished yesterday.
Yes.
The teams of Iran moved back to Tehran. All the negotiating teams gone back. The primary negotiation, bringing America on the table of talk, took some directions in Qatar. And then EU corrected all what was agreed in Qatar in the background talks into a new proposal. And Iranian leadership in past 2 or 3 days, knowing that this is the final, what we call, chapter in these negotiations, the hardliners in Iran, the conservative right, have started to prepare the nation to accept this treaty, this new proposal. Even though Iran now has stepped down from one of the major claims, and clergy would not get what totally they wanted, but it allows the process to go forward. We expect this to be signed in the next few weeks, or maybe sooner, that they'll be ready prior to United Nations meeting in September, October. And we expect a meeting with the Iranian leadership and Americans in UN somehow after this proposal is signed. Iran stepped back from what they created in January because they suddenly brought this up, what was agreed. And now this is the last, what do you call it? Last point. Everybody is left Vienna. I was there on Saturday. The whole teams were in negotiation, even Sunday. Now we see a 99% chance, unless Iran comes with some other unknown factors, we see that to be completed. We hope so, but this should have been done in March. There was a lot of Iran brought an irrelevant position in, and then they withdrew most of it, and the Americans compromised and the Iranian compromised. Now we have a working proposal, was pre-agreed by the EU in Tehran a couple of weeks ago. America ratified it. Meetings in Qatar with Americans was fruitful with it, but we see it to be signed unless they come up with another, what I call, heap of nonsense from one side or the other. The proposal is complete. We will sign the agreement in coming weeks. But Iran needed to be released, and America needed more than that, because the Americans are in a position of unknown, and Iran is in a position of rapid development. And I suggested to the Iranian officials, do not put the cameras back in any of the Iran nuclear breeding system, because it's not the system they're watching, their effects, recognizing our scientists are killing them. And Iran has to take that into consideration. And the other groups who are in this game are provided by the videos and the live videos by the IEA, and then they abuse it. This is how they manage to recognize most of the Iranian scientists, and they are what do you call them, underneath, trying to reach them. The biggest problem we have in Iran is not the scientists who are getting killed, it's the scientists which the other countries are getting to with the big promises and they spy for them. This has been one of the biggest problems we have had in the past 5 or 6 years. With the cameras, they're recognizing them and then they work on them. So my suggestion to Iranians has been do not accept cameras back in unless it's on the centrifuges, does not recognize faces. And we have to see. But essentially, peace talk is over. Sign or no sign, but 99% we hope. We are back to pre-December, where it was supposed to be signed. Nothing has changed, more or less. Nothing has changed. Few bits added. 8-9 months of wasted time negotiation. And we'll see.
No.
Bill the signed. It's completed. Now it's complete. Everybody is back home to accept ratification. We expect not to be signed in Vienna. Possibly it will be signed in Vienna, or it will be brought up to be signed in opening of the United Nations annual meeting, where but we'll see. But it's, in general, everything is accepted. It's done. I was thinking about it when it finished on Monday, that the persistence we have seen with the Brazilian sessions every night to see this through. And I always said he might have done a lot of work in the background. He didn't stop, and they didn't stop. But we have achieved there's not much achievement. All this hassle is to write up what Trump did, except one piece, which is the Iran Revolutionary Guard assets, which belongs to the Iranian clergy. It's their investment. They wanted their investments off, but in general, it's the only problem.
Thank you very much, Mr. Keshe. I was wondering about the treaty Briand-Kellogg, this which make unlawful the war. What about this treaty? Is dead?
Which treaty? What are you talking about?
Briand-Kellogg in 1928, maybe, if I remember well, it was a treaty which made war unlawful at international level, so out of the law. And
I don't understand what you're talking about.
we need to make war is to declare war, I mean, is not lawful.
Oh, there is a lot of these things.
Yes, and they didn't apply this treaty. They signed it, but only during the Cold War they achieved to create an equilibrium, a balance with atomic nuclear deterrence. But in a third world, the war was just lawful, or maybe this is a double standard. I mean, if it's unlawful, the war is unlawful everywhere in the world, not only in a civilized world or in the space of big power. And in the third war, we can do what we want. So we need to enforce this law. war to be out of international law, any kind of conflicts, if we want peace. What do you think about this?
Mr. Keshe, if you're trying to talk, your microphone is not
No,
on.
there's no comments. There's nothing.
Okay.
We'll see what's the comment from the others.
Okay, thank you. I understood from your silence. Thank you. At soul level.
Okay, any other comments or anything, questions for Mr. Keshe? Anything anyone would like to say?
Hello, Rick. Hello, Mr. Keshe. This is Nikolai from Arizona at the moment. I wanted to give an update of, well, 2 weeks ago, I fell asleep before the test began in your room here, Rick. And I had a dream that night and went and visited an old friend who I hadn't thought about in many years. And the souls were arranging what needed to be arranged, but I thought it was very interesting, and I thought I would just bring it up as a piece of data that, even though I wasn't present in the call and had no idea that it was happening, it still reached me, and I thought that was very interesting.
So what happened exactly? You felt you visited a friend?
Well, I hadn't been remembering dreams at all, and I woke up the next morning and had I actually went and reached out to this person on Facebook to find them and to try and just say hello. But it was a peculiar dream. It was just very, very surreal in a way, and from not having remembered any dreams to then one very specific dream with someone I hadn't thought about at all for many years. And so I went on Facebook the next day and sent her a message and just said, "Oh, I hope you're well." And then about 4 or 5 days later, I found out that this test had occurred. And I felt, well, hey, there's no more coincidences. And yeah, I thought that was very interesting. So I wanted to be a part of that workshop. My phone was on low battery, and it just I didn't plug it in. And so by the time you guys did what you did, I was maybe 2 or 3 hours into my sleep cycle, and still traveled, still went places, and I thought that was very interesting.
All right, thank you.
I don't want to bore you with the details, but that's what I wanted to share. Headphones or not, it seemed rather irrelevant at that point. Thank you.
May I ask a basic question about LED positioning for making guns?
And who is this, please? This is
Nicola from Serbia.
okay.
Public student. I'm interested in you guys are always recommended to new people to watch a 12-part Understanding Plasma series, an older series from like 2015. And I was also looking at that knowledge and looking at the Keshe Foundation wiki, and I noticed discrepancy that when making guns with nano-coated zinc and plain zinc, or nano-coated copper and plain copper for different guns is, in the 12-part series, it's always recommended to have the LED be the negative side of the LED on the nano part of the plate, or nano-coated plate. But in the Keshe Foundation wikis, it's recommended in the opposite, that the positive part of the LED always be connected to the nano-coated plate, be it zinc or copper. And that kind of made me confused if the orientation is important and which one should it be.
From what I remember, the negative goes to the nano-coated plate. Generally, how things go. I'm not sure. Maybe it was. Anybody answer that? What have you encountered that in the KF wiki?
Yeah, correct. I think if you send a message to the info at where the mistake is, they will correct it.
That's the info at Keshe.foundation.
Yeah, if you send it there, they'll see it and somebody will sort. There is a lot of things happening in the background. As I said, the shop at the store of the Keshe Foundation changes in next few weeks. We were hoping to end it by end of August, but there's a lot much work to it. It becomes very friendly use. It's a new system. We are working on it, and then the wiki should be sorted. It's a very big, laborious job to do the wiki. It's not so easy, and there were some people doing it, taking it up, and we need to literally employ people full time to do these things, and that's a problem. Wiki was done by a lot of volunteers, and we have some odd mistakes here and there. We'll send a message where the problem is, and they'll go and correct it.
Okay, that's a good idea. Thank you.
Yeah, if you connect then positive, even with your battery, if you connect the positive to the nano layer, you will push the layers out. Your plate will be cleared of nano material, but still will have some what we call properties of it. It will change the color, and that change of color on the plate shows nano layers. But the upper layers of your nanomaterial will come off, and you will get nanomaterial at the bottom of it. In a way, you have to use, as I always said, the nanomaterial, which is black, as a black hole, which pulls in the fields. And this will be important in the future if people understand for the creation of materials. If you remember, we talked about this a few years ago, but people didn't understand, and we shelved it. But sooner or later, we'll come back in, because as knowledge seekers become more educated, understand more, they comprehend what it is. We talked about production of the nanomaterial, and then production of the ganses, and then ganses of ganses. And in the interaction of the ganses of ganses, there's that become literally the true space technology, and knowledge seekers have not understood it yet. Because if you look at it, GANS is a star. They bought these rotating reactors and they stopped playing, but never understood it. So if you play stars, we should be able to do a lot of things, but knowledge hasn't reached it. The knowledge seekers have not matured to that point yet.
Just a question from Nanoplasma Time in the chat here. Mr. Keshe, thank you for the special news. The transportation experience is from Linz in person or from another city on the other side of the ocean, such as from Miami and appear in Linz and then go to another place, for example, arrive in Paris.
Can you repeat?
I guess they're asking if the teleportation experience is from Linz in person or from another city, such as from Miami or other city on the other side of the ocean, and appear in Linz and then go to another place, for example, arrive in Paris.
In the near future, we all those. At the moment, we are going a step at a time. We go a step at a time because I can build the system in one go. I have built the system before. Now is the knowledge transfer to the knowledge seekers, and they have to understand it. Once they understand it, we can go to the next step. Even understanding of the production of what you call gases. I've been waiting for nearly 14, 15 years. But it would have been abuse of knowledge by knowledge seekers. But it's part of patience, being patient still. A number of people catch up, finding the right people you can trust to share knowledge with, that they can develop it and going to the next step. The governments have opened their eyes in past week in what was shown 2 weeks ago. World leading governments are just been hit in past 2 or 3 days by what knowledge was shared in the methane and the energy unit. And they understand the implication of it, they understand the application of it. And once you open the Pandora box, then the other scientists will add to it rapidly. We had one of the leading space scientists yesterday taking 2 flights just to understand how the hydrogen is done, that they could use it in their space technology they spend billions developing. They still produce hydrogen, but they cannot utilize it the way it's been shown. And when a government dispatches one of the biggest scientists just to sit and talk, it shows how they have moved. the as I explained to our knowledge seekers last Thursday, teaching brought a massive response from Washington for Keshe Foundation. Within 2 hours after the teaching, Washington turned 180 degrees. And we saw it, physically saw it. They understood the game, they understood what it is and what we put on the table and what we don't accept as Keshe Foundation. And other governments responded immediately on Friday. We had a call at 10 o'clock at night from officials of a government expecting communication and clarity on what is going to and what has happened and what is going to be in their position. Nothing is coincidental. If you remember, we had the same thing with Obama. Obama never missed, still doesn't miss the Thursday teaching. He's always in the background. And if you remember, in one of the teachings, we spoke about the problems with US, and immediately after teaching, within a couple of hours, he did a presidential decree to make sure what was discussed, Americans are protected. And we've seen again the same thing on Thursday. And the decision came from the White House. It could not come from anywhere else. Within 2 hours after we finished the teaching, we saw the response international. And directly for the Keshe Foundation, it wasn't somewhere else, something. They moved to open the Keshe Foundation internationally. This morning, 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, we had the response from the top 3 governments in the world in respect to the technology. They demanding a meeting, an urgent meeting to ratify, to clarify, and to come to some sort of agreement. Knowledge seekers don't realize what is on the table. It's a program piece, it's what we plan, but you have to be there now to deliver for them to bring up and put everything together. And we paid heavily for it. Every cent of the Keshe Foundation has gone into developing and putting these things together and making sure we stay independent. They know we're about to become independent and they try to be on it before they get off it. Keshe Foundation is not just making nano and flight system, it's understanding the world politics and playing with it in the right way to get the right result. And it takes time to build. It's not a news flash, it's a way of living. And that's the difference. A lot of you look for a news flash is what happened. We make it to become a way of living, slowly, slowly, building up.
Okay, do we have any further questions for Mr. Keshe while we have him here?
Yes, Mr. Keshe, I'm trying to understand the difference between the plasmatic CO2 and the other CO2 that we use in the fire extinguishers now. You said it has the same designation CO2, but one brings life and the other destroys life. Now, in our current setup with the CO2 box, we're gravitating gas into a nano or something that appears as a matter state or the fourth state of matter. I remember Klaus talking about taking a bath and breathing in the steam that's coming off the tub with the previous situation we had, and that means you would be breathing in plasmatic gases without any matter state. I know you may say order a system, a gas system, but do we have access? I mean, I put some and tried to boil it off, or is it like enrichment? Maybe we only have a couple % of the plasmatic gas mixed in there. You said if it was detrimental and we drank it, we don't have a problem with it. It's not detrimental. It's connecting the physicality or soul of physicality with the soul. But do we just have a small percentage of it in our boxes? And we really, the system you are offering is really the full enrichment of it, because I was so impressed about when you said you can add it to your drinks, or it could be added to the carbonated drinks, and that every bubble was a soul elevation. And if you look at a glass of carbonated water, there must be thousands of little bubbles being formed, whether it's champagne or sparkling wine or what have you, soft drinks. So I think this is a very clever way of introducing it through. Of course, they're all made for the elevation of the soul, but in our CO2 box, in our kitchens now, do we actually have access to this plasmatic gas? I think we do, but in a very smaller way than the, let's say, enriched plasmatic gas that you're offering through the system.
The is not enriched, is packaged different. In a way, is as you offer a vapor, a liquid, or a solid of the a gas. Plasmatic packaging is another way of doing it. There's a lot of added science, and as I explained in the system we saw in Iran in the last 2 or 3 minutes of how we saw it in the lens in the last measurement, this system is a natural system. It's the way the universe works, where when we demand it, it produces it. And it's part of the structure of what you need it for, what is to add. It's a new way of packaging knowledge. It's a step towards the true space technology. Is we release an atom of hydrogen as a gas. As I said before, it'll fill in they can fill in a solar system. With plasmatic hydrogen, you connect to the universe. State matter is filling up, and the plasma state is connecting up. This is the difference. In the next phase of the production of the flight systems, these new understandings will be implemented heavily. But has to be understood by our team, has to be understood by our people before we can implement.
Mr. Keshe, I have a quick question if I could. Years ago, we used to use methane-based gases for refrigeration because it didn't hurt the ozone layer in any way. Do you think that these gases might be still suitable for something like that in refrigeration?
Yes.
Yep, cool.
Well, it's I prefer to keep out of this at the moment, but yes.
Okay.
Yeah, in the way we keep because it needs to be understood. We implement these things in our work, we implement these things in our way of doing things. But the biggest problem is you got to understand, you knowledge seekers, you get little bit of information every now and then. Our research people, they get this on a daily basis all the time. And they have to understand it before we go to the next step.
Okay, thank you. And by the way, happy birthday for last week. I hope the gift that I gave you was worthwhile for your birthday present.
Thank you very much. The whole structure now we are concentrating on is building the 2 new space reactors, what we call unit. And to get to there, we more or less need to complete parts of the transmutation. And this is what we ask people to come into LINS, that we can transmute test in the units where we have full control, or majority of the control, that we can add to it in the next step of the development. We can make addition to the next steps of development. I was in one of the chats past few days, and they said always for us to come to LINS, it takes a lot of time and a lot of money. We're coming from this country, that country. I said, what was the principle of the Keshe Foundation? We're here to serve and not to be served. If you can afford a flight, sponsor somebody who has been through and is nearby, who can do it. And we need to complete this transmutation before we go to the next step. And we need to understand fully by our people before we go to the next step.
In a way, this is Nikolai again. In a way, it seems like the knowledge seekers, for all of our efforts, in a way, are 3-4 years behind. And I'm curious, is there anything that you could suggest for us to speed this up in our way? Do we need to immerse ourselves more fully, or is it a process of going back to the beginning and catching what we've missed?
What do you mean?
Well, in a way, every time that I go back to the beginning of the knowledge, so to speak, or if I'm in a new location and I don't have my materials with me, I go begin again with copper wires and zinc wires and nano coating and moving into the GANs material, and then taking that material and applying it in certain ways and shapes. And every time I do this, it seems like I learn better, I accelerate more quickly in what I'm playing with, so to speak, in what becomes manifest in my reality. If it be making Ganses to make patches for people, okay, fine. But to move more quickly into this accelerated pace, because it seems like the research centers and the technology is racing ahead, and sometimes it feels like we're in the Stone Ages, so to speak, in trying to do catch up. I'm not sure what I'm asking in so many ways, but other than coming into the systems and being exposed to the environment and being in that space and speaking with other knowledge seekers around the world, is there anything that you could suggest for us to accelerate our understanding?
What do you mean? I don't understand.
Well, all I know is when I'm around other beings who are, we'll call them knowledge seekers, or people who have been exposed to this technology, I find the inspiration to create is much stronger, and more learning happens, and more advancement for myself and for people around me. And that's great and it's wonderful, but I feel like we would like to not be stuck so much in making Ganses and what is beautiful in its own right, but it feels like I'm missing a step in the ladder, so to speak, to, as you said earlier, move into, for instance, making Ganses of Ganses, which I have not done, and to take that next step in the progression. Is it a lack of understanding? Is it a lack of time spent? Or how do you see this? How do you see this hurdle being overcome for what I feel like is many knowledge seekers?
It is, it's a progressive understanding. That's a problem. Or leapfrogging one stage to another just because you understood something and then finding out that you actually missed a step. This is why we could have taught everything in one go from the beginning. I could have taught the production of the gas and materials 14 years ago, 15 years ago. This month and next month, 14 years ago, exactly 14 years ago, was when the preparation and the first flights were done in Tehran. And these gases were produced. So, but knowledge seekers are not ready. People are not ready for such a thing. It becomes magic and then disappears. The way we've done is to take time for a child from the time it starts moving to walking, takes months. The child doesn't get up and walk because every muscle in the body has to be toned, every part of the brain has to be reach a point of maturity of a progressive next step. And that's how it's been. It's not 14 years, it's 14,000 years, this teaching, bit by bit, bit by bit. And it's you have to understand not just the GANs making, the social applications of it, the morality, moral application of it. Knowledge seekers just look at what I missed in GANs making. What didn't you understand in morality and the condition of the GANs you made? Till the knowledge seekers don't understand and work with both at the same time, you got a long way coming. You have to understand the implication of what you produce, not just to produce because you want something. Then that brings you a new knowledge, new insight in a new way. You people just you said what you missed. The reality is, what have you understood from where you are? And what is the implication of it in the social structure of your life? This is the difference. You have Teslas and you have mullahs. And this time you're putting Tesla in mullahs and mullahs in Teslas. Then you understand what is the implication of what you do and what it does. And then you understand why it's produced the way it's produced, because it has a purpose that it manifests itself that way. So try to understand and try to go to the next step. This is what the teaching has been, and it bothers me a lot. We keep on talking about the soul, but in fact is application and impact of the ganses you make on social environment, on you, on other people. And this is not understood. So you don't see what was missing because you haven't understood what this will apply. You just after a glance to see if it does something, it's become a magic box. You know, you go to all these public shows you see, and every show they have a card magician. It's the same pack of card, but different magics, different hand play. It's the same GANs. How do you use it to bring that change? And this is what knowledge is. I've not understood. It's too much, too far materialistic. And then you understand what you miss. And maybe your soul already is aware of it. And you're always looking for physical effects and manifestation to believe something. We don't do anything when you go into the system. We just create the environment. It's your soul which does the job, or it's you who does the job from inside outside. Up to now, you always were interested in what you touch, what you smell, what blah blah. And now you have to trust the feeling. I felt my mom, I touched my brother, I kissed the ground. But there is no ground. And strange enough, you call it a dream. The most real part of a man's life is called a dream. The actual way the man lives in the universe is called a dream. It's the most ridiculous thing ever heard. But because you don't know, it just fits. You deny half of your life, half of actually the main part of your existence, you deny it. And then you understand the Ganses work on the same strength as your real life, you have a problem. And this is what you say, what I missed. Did you miss, or were you supposed to be where you are? But what you understand from it will have effect on your totality, inside and outside. Or you have to see something moving, then you believe. What about what you're feeling? Anyway, it's just what the gentleman said. My phone wasn't working and I fell asleep. But so much later, such a thing happened. We have a knowledge seeker. I don't know if I told you in the teaching or not, but he actually went through a dream a couple of weeks ago. He saw his action. He woke his wife up. And an hour and a half later, what he saw was in the news. It's a headline news. And his soul was there, was part of it, was witness to it. And it wasn't then to say that I had a dream. He wakes his wife up and he says, this is what happened. He's one of our leading knowledge seekers. And a husband and wife go crazy because it's something against his nature. And not being to sleep, they open the phone, the radio, and it's in the news. It's what we bring and mix together in both sides. We look at the GANs, or we have we use it for COVID, but did it work on the virus? or did it in the process of using elevating your soul, that the soul could handle the energies of the COVID? To me, the answer is the second one than the first one. But you are physical people and you just say, okay, I use the gas. How come some of you don't get the direction and the recovery as fast as the others? This is the whole teaching at the moment, and not many knowledge seekers are waking up to it. And in the recent past, I brought it up in some teachings. And especially in one of the intros is there, I keep on asking, or when Rick plays it, is the one it tells it in a very simple way. The messengers of now are for the soul and the physicality, scientists and the prophet. And the only thing you don't see yourselves are to be a scientist and a prophet. Then you fit into it. You have to understand what is scientifically, physically, and what is the effect of it on the moral side, and you understand what you haven't understood. Don't forget, you got to reach 7 billion of you who keep on changing every few years. 8.48 billion population now is 1 billion of it dies by the end of next year or two. A new cycle of 1 billion plus is added to go to 9 billion. So the teaching cannot stop. It's ever replenishing till it becomes part of the soul that the next generations are born with it. The evolution of Mitra. And that takes time. As I said, there was one Adam and one Eve, as we call it. Now the new cycle has started. Again with one. Last time took billions to get us where we are now. How long will it take this time for the soul through Mitra to get? And what we understand the difference between physicality and emotion and soul at the same time at the point of birth. With our soul stand out and look at the physicality, come on, get up, get to walk, I'm going to the other universes, and you're still trying to get that thing up and standing up or crawling. It's a lot to learn.
Thank you for your patience with us.
You don't know how patient I've been.
It means it is all about learning, not making.
You make to learn and you learn to make. Works both ways. But it has to be a gradual step up, not repetition. And at the moment, our knowledge seekers are just repetition. They learned it and they repeat the same thing.
Mr. Keshe, I had my whole life different kinds of unusual dream. That means those are real.
Every dream is a reality, but in its time and position and dimension. Is it a dream when you go to the shop and you buy a piece of cake and you come back home and eat it? Or is it reality? So why your dreams are not real when it comes to your soul doing the shopping? Or you only see the shopping as when you have a piece of bread in your hand? This is the denial of one's existence. But what was the purpose of that dream? What did it bring you? Where did you go? What you look at? You met somebody and did something, or you? What was the understanding of that dream? Not explanation of it. If you go and see somewhere aliens, blah blah. Oh, I had a dream. I met a bunch of aliens. What is the reality of it? It means you just been somewhere. Your soul has extended to the other part of the universe, to somewhere with a different civilization. You get in the car to go and see, or a plane to go and see somewhere. And when it comes to the dimension of the universe, travel is a dream. But what were you supposed to learn from that dream? Or what was the, not learning it, but what was the pleasure of it? What
I
was it?
was working.
Sure.
I was working.
No, it's not just what you were doing or you're doing. It's what is the essence of each excursion by the soul. Showing you where you would like to go when it leaves this body. Isn't it when you go immigrate somewhere, you don't go to the city the first you land, you go and see the other cities or other countries before you immigrate? Isn't that your soul doing that? Finding, excurting, going somewhere to see, when I leave this physicality, would I like to be part of this community, this society, this part of the universe? But you call it a dream. But it's not a dream if you immigrate from one country to another and live there in physical condition. You see the pictures, you see the videos of the country, and you say, oh, I like to go and live there. And you make a move to do. But your soul knows your body is a transition time. If you turn around the sun, you call it years. But it's the maturity of it. And when it's matured, it's testing. He goes and sees where he likes to go. You call it a dream. But that's the most real part of the life of the man. The real part. This is where the next step comes after you leave this physical dimension. And you call it a dream. A very close friend of us lost her father yesterday. And I was talking to her, and early hours of this morning, and I said to her, when is she supposed to come and see me in the next few days? I said to her, would you like to see the soul of your father? When you come, I will put you in a flight system that gives you that chance. What would you like to say to your father now that you don't have him in physical dimension?
Hello, Mr. Keshe. Hello, everyone. I'm Barbu from Romania. I have a question. In September, we start to create with plasma some type of construction of geodesic dome plasma houses. And we build the structure from wood, and we nano coating with a special natural resin and some ganses and special ganses. And inside we are using, like, for isolation, for insulation, we use a type of mineral wool. And inside of the house, we put plasterboard. You have some recommendation for us to not use this type of materials, or you have other information for us? Because this is the first project that we are using. In the past, we are using for with Johnny and the team for greenhouses, also in the geodesic dome. But for now, we are going to create houses. Thank you.
I spoke with the people who make this that you're trying to work with. I had a long chat with them. I understand what they are doing. And they don't want anything from it. They just want to share the knowledge. And I know they have put a workshop weekend for knowledge seekers around the world to come, or people in Europe and to Romania to do it. If you look at it, it's you create a condition of the fields in the structure. In a structure from one side of the dome, the fields of it connect with the other side. And this is what is done in this dome. You create a field dimension, and plasterboard or whatever cannot disturb the dimension of the field. What you embed in the beams of it. I've seen the construction. I had a talk with the people who make this. It's like a igloo from the Eskimos. The physicality of the joint hold the matter state, and that's it. That's as far as they go to the height and the position. But the fields which are embedded in the resin crosses from one wood to another, to every corner of, or every point of the dome. Doesn't matter what you put in there. You put a plasterboard, or you put a shield of gold. There are some things with this dome that is missing, but it has to be learned. When I spoke to the guys who are doing it, and you're trying to promote them, it's a clear way that there is part of the knowledge is missing, or in a way we have to learn from it. Then we have to go through this till we learn that part. It's a very loose field connection. Let me see what comes up with it. But in general, you create a dome where The wood is a physical condition of connection. And I said the solar physicality of it is the fields which you have embedded and they connect to every other part of it. The wood you put on the right hand side on the base cannot reach the wood on the left hand side on the top. But the fields do. And now you have to find how to manipulate these fields.
For the new year, we have another project because we want to leave the wood in the back, and we have opportunity with one manufacturing in Romania, from our community. We can recycle the plastic, and they have a factory to printing in the 3D, and we can use the plastic, and in the plastic we can put some gases, I think, and we can replace the wood with plastic tubes. This is for the new year project.
I understand. It's just that you can expand this to a lot of directions. It depends what you want to do at the end with it. It's the conformation of the field transfer. We did it with the frames, with the rotating reactors. We did it with solid state reactors, as to say. It depends what fields you want to create, then how glorious you want to make it, how effective you want to make it.
For houses, we want to keep same like a spaceship. We want to keep the space between the structure and the earth, but this is option for proprietary who buy the wood and everything, and they decide how they want to apply this type of projects. But we think is more clear for people to have this space between the structure and to simulate the spaceship fields for the houses.
I understand what is getting done and what it needs to be done. We are getting involved in a construction in a different way with a company in Germany. The ultimate goal is to build a structure that can feed you, can keep you in a normal condition with health, and can provide the heat and what you call life. And that's the ultimate goal. And how and who and the way is achieved by knowledge seekers is different.
Yes, of course, and good luck. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
May I share something very quickly? I believe it's on this topic. I had an experience, very happenstance. I was not trying to do this, but I had one plastic box nano-coating zinc and one plastic box nano-coating copper, and maybe 6 or 8 inches in between these. I put my hand in that area and I felt warmth. I felt heat. And I showed 3 other people. I told them nothing. I said, please put your hand here. What do you feel? Every single one of them felt heat, but not related to the sun or anything else. So I thought that was very interesting. Perhaps it could be of use.
Yeah, that is normal, because when you're nano coating, you have already created the layers of the field on the plates. And when you have a zinc and a copper, zinc fields is trying to feed the copper field side or container. And
Hello, Mr. Keshe. Faded out there.
That might
Hello, Mr. Keshe. I'm not able to hear you yet.
Hello, Mr. King.
I think he's having a microphone problem.
I had a problem. I hope I didn't cause you a problem.
Pardon me, Gil?
I think she was talking to someone in the background. I just muted her. If I did,
Okay.
I just disconnected at the same. I'm sorry. I don't know why that was open. It just came back on by itself. But everything disconnected on our network. Sorry about that.
As always, God do not want you to know. It's happened always like this.
Yalla. That's not fair.
It's not.
I'm
not
supposed to be elevating, therefore I have to understand, right?
it's not only you, my dear.
Thanks.
Has
Mr.
anybody
Keshe,
else had this experience with the two boxes next to one another, one zinc and one copper? Has this happened for anybody else? Mr. Keshe says this is normal. They tried to feed each other. I understand that, but it was very interesting for me to notice this.
I missed that part. What happened?
I had two nano-coated, or I had two boxes on my patio. One is nano-coating zinc, and the other one is nano-coating copper. And between the two boxes, there was maybe 6 or 8 inches of space. And there is a bubble of heat in that area. And I put my hand in there and I felt this bubble of heat. And then I shared the experience with 3 other people. I told them nothing. I said, please put your hand here. What do you feel? They all 3 of them said, I feel heat. And so I thought, as I'm hearing this from Barbu, I would share it, and perhaps that's one way that this could be explained. But Mr. Keshe was about to explain further, and then the connection dropped.
Thanks. We'll listen. Thank you.
So the heat that you felt, is that not the friction caused between the interaction of the fields? I don't know, because I've not done this stuff for years, but maybe when they're nano coating, they're very close together. You said 6 inches. Is that not very close?
The two boxes were not far apart, 6 or 8 inches apart on the deck. And
why did you put them together so closely when they're different materials, nano coating? Would they not?
It was just what happened. Yeah. It was not on purpose. It was just
the field strength of the zinc. It would not be the pure zinc, as it would have the field strength of the copper, because that's also nano coating and it's interacting, so it's changing. They're feeding each other, yes, but the dimension possibly you were going for, because they're different materials, is not going to be exactly what you're looking for. Possibly, I've got no idea.
But Mr. Keshe does do
perfectly.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Gil.
Okay, I was just going to say, we were advised that we can put all kinds of material into one box, like caustic and nano what do you call it? I forget the words, but you can put them all together. So I'm just curious to whether that really matters, or like, how does it work? But the heat.
What's the reason for putting them all together?
Just to get the nano coating started.
Putting what all together? You mean putting different elements together,
Mm,
like
yes.
copper and zinc
Yes.
and iron all together to nanocoat them. And
Mhm.
we're talking about already
Nano?
GANs that's already been being created in a box, I believe.
So isn't that
what you're talking about?
No, Rick.
Nikolai?
In fact,
Oh.
it was two separate boxes, nano coating two different materials
Nanocoating. Okay.
in
I
the
got it.
process of creating that. So yeah, a hot caustic method, boxes closed. I came to check up on them a few days or a week into the process just to see and noticed that this interaction was there. And so I thought, well, this is a happy accident as usual. And perhaps this would be one way, as I'll be going to Romania for this workshop as well. So I'm excited by this. And I thought, well, this could be very interesting if one half of the dome on the outside layer is applied, one of the layers of perhaps the zinc caustic, the leftover water mixed with the caustic, and on the inside could be the copper fields or the reverse, however it seems fit. And I thought that could be an interesting way to create this. So anyway, I just wanted to share that experience, and maybe it opens the doors for something else.
No, let me explain to you this. I was explaining. You see, when you put your hand in, you just put your hand in. You felt a heat. But
Yes.
ask a question. Simple, very, very simple question. And that is, was the heat, when you burn yourself, you don't burn both sides of your hand, do you? You burn one side. When you had a heat, was the heat on the side of the zinc plate or was the heat on the side of the copper side much stronger? Because you feel it right through. But through the senses of man, we feel. But that's what you feel. But ask yourself the next question. You eat the food, you put the food in your mouth, you enjoy the pleasures of the taste, the smell, whatever. It touches your emotion. That heat didn't create an emotion. Not the warmth, but did it bring you pleasure? Did it bring you a next step in up the ladder in increasing your emotions or reducing it? Did you put your right hand in or did you put your left hand in? Was the feeling and emotion the same? Or just feeling a heat was enough for you because it's something strange? There's a difference between when I research and when you test something. This is the way a true understanding of the plasma field is. You look at it, it created heat. Why? So we know transfer of energy. You can put them anywhere. You feel that. Why? My cancers are next to each other. Was it? It doesn't matter. This only room I have on my table, I can put 2 buckets. But from that, putting my hand, I felt the heat. What was the next step of this field? What did it bring you? What did it teach you? What did it physically felt? And what did emotionally at the soul level you felt? Do you go to a house and open the front door and stand at the front door and never move to a living room to see if the house has a living room, has a bedroom, has a kitchen? And this is what you lot do. You open the door and you stand in the front door. You're scared and go and see what's in the living room. Not as scared. You don't understand. There is a living room. There is a kitchen. And this is where is all this question comes. Was it next to each other? Why did you put them together? Because you're stuck back into, yes, there. What is the consequence of what did it elevate me on the soul direction? How would I feel if it's the left hand, which is a taker, and the right hand, which is a giver? What happened when I turn my right hand the other way around? Knowledge seekers have become too involved in one thing and they get stuck with it. Now you understand. You brought your friends. Did you ask them how did they feel after? Were they happier? Would they feel different when it was the right hand in toward the zinc or the left hand in toward the zinc? This is what is missing from all 99.999% of our majority of knowledge seekers. And it's not just you. The phone I had to accept is from one of the top 3 world economy nations in the world, scientists in the meeting in the next few hours. They're asking the same stupid question. This is only for this. What can we do with other things? This is not so something. I said, just get on the table, then I'll show you what you can do with it. This is what we have to understand. I'll read you something. Just came in, and we don't go into depth of it, but it's been there. I'll read you the last entry of him, which was put in yesterday. He is one of the world leading, most probably one of the world leading cancer doctors in the world. He's the head of the most reputable cancer hospital in the world. He is one of the devoted knowledge seekers. He's one of the most powerful doctors who can actually bring changes. And he was diagnosed with a cancer. And the doctors gave him, his own doctors in the whole hospital, his knowledge gave him 6 months to live. He worked with me, and being the head of the hospital, he had all the facilities in the hospital, nobody could question him, to do everything. Inject himself with cancers, create GANs, patches, everything you can imagine, we done together with him in past 3 years. It's 3 years gone. And he's still there. They were waiting for him to die, that there's a new head, but they can't replace him, he's there. He wrote me a text on Saturday, and he sent me pictures that he's playing basketball with the hospital team against another hospital, and they thought this man should be dead. And he sent me pictures, and I'll read you the text of what is written this morning. He says, today I'm taking my 2 daughters for a walk in the park. Thank you, dear Mr. Keshe. If it were not for you, they would not have me as a father today. I cherish my life and now love everything which is now. And this is from one of the leading doctors, scientists in the world. He runs a hospital with thousands of beds specialized in cancer. And now because of him, the government and the hospital is deciding to accept the Keshe technology to be tested in the hospital. Because he was supposed to be dead 2.5 years ago. And now he goes to the park and he plays basketball with his fellow doctors who they cannot even believe it. because he's in his 60s and he always played basketball all his life. 3 years ago, he couldn't even walk to sit on the benches in the basketball hall. We extended the knowledge beyond imagination. We looked at how to elevate his soul and how to get the soul and the physicality to go together. And he understands as a physician. He says, I have had thousands and thousands of cancer patients going through my hand over 40 years as a doctor. And I could never give them hope. And with you, I have every hope for all my patients. This is where the technology sits. So now you tell me, was it the left hand? Why did you feel? And the other knowledge is, why did you put it there? No, wasn't it close? What was the reason you put them together? Was put there for you, most probably, it's the only space you have to learn about the total understanding of it.
Yes, that's all I can think it was. And my soul is doing something that gets me to the next step. At first I put, I think, my right hand. Then I put both hands. Then I laid down and put my head between the two boxes. And one of my other friends, another knowledge seeker, when he came over, he put his head between the two and looked at me with a very funny look on his face. And he says, wow, this feels amazing. This feels so good. We were laughing. It certainly picked up our mood. And the other friend of mine who is just being exposed to the knowledge and the fields recognized the warmth. He put his right hand, but for him it wasn't as noticeable as it was for my friend and I.
Yes, because depends what is the strength of the field in his body. It's not the same as you. You have different strength. Your body is different composition. But let's say your blood O, his blood A. You understand? So the interaction is not always the same with everyone. And this is the beauty of it. You see a girl, she does nothing to you. Your friend next to you falls in love crazy with the same girl. And say, hello, what do you see in her? Nothing. My blood field circulation strength matches with her. I fit in. Hers, oh, I didn't feel anything. It's just you are in love. Or if you get both of them the same strength, they're all in love, and you see the craziness of their falling in love between two people. And you pass the girl, you walk with the girl all your life, you felt nothing. Because it's the same with the box. You talk so casually about it that you make a nonsense out of it. But if you understand it, If you explain to your friend, your blood is different than mine. You go and eat certain foods and come back tomorrow, so you feel the same. And you might say, wow, it was so different yesterday. Yes, because you changed the composition of your blood with the food you ate. Understand the science. Understand the emotion of the science. Understand the science of emotion. And then everything has a different meaning. And this is the problem we have, and which is a part of 3 years now, teaching about the soul. If all of you would have understand, well, the soul is there, this is there, this is there, then we would have had no problem. You know, snail and the turtle and the rabbit? Human beings are the snail. They are the slowest creatures in the universe in understanding the work of the soul and the reality of the work of the universe. You talk about the earth, but you don't talk about why is it rotating in this position in the solar system. The bricks and the waters and the stones don't create it. There is a field. So why don't you talk about the fields? And then you see why. Would it be that we change the field of the earth by producing so much gases and we position another position in the solar system or in the universe in coming time? The emphasis is now, especially that we have shown it in the enhancement units, is to start looking at the interactions. The interaction between the soul and physicality. Because now, no. If I would have said to you, I felt such a thing, you would have laughed. You know, when we brought the first knowledge seekers unknown to anyone to do the test for the first magraphs, for the first systems, going back as long as 6-7 years ago without knowing 10 years ago. I started this 14 years ago, 15 years ago in Belgium. It's not something new because I knew that will be the result. I got it. So now I have to teach those in a very slow speed to all of you that one day some of you might catch. And you're still in nano coating and gases in the fields. Hello, you live the material life for billions of years. Now understand what you engaged. That is the whole purpose of even bringing the enhancement units out. Up to now, some magraphs work, some magraphs doesn't work. Now it's you go in, you come up with the words, you come up with the emotion, you come up with the reality, what you saw. And what happened? We have people like your friend who felt nothing. We tell them come back next time, in 2 weeks time, in 4 weeks time. What do? They come back and they say, wow, it's totally different than last time. Yes, because we ignited the soul to work. Now you come in, it's working, it interacts with the system. We haven't changed anything. It's just you who have your soul, which has learned it doesn't need to be scared to get out, if I put it that way. It's, in a way, you know, sometimes they say you drag a student with kick and shouting and howling from one to another for them to understand what they understand. They're the happiest people. At the moment, we are in that position of trying to drag you out into the position to understand it's not a dream, it's way of life. I had a dream. Why don't you talk about, I went somewhere last night? How come you come and say, I went to the pub, I went to cinema? Why can't you see a stigmatization about it? I went somewhere last night. When you come to the enhancement unit, we don't tell you, can you travel? We tell you, can you go tomorrow? Can you go and see your father and mother? Because you physically do when you do it. Why do you wait for the instruction for us to say? Why don't you take that step yourself? This is what the teachings now is going to be. The more we go in the depth of the travels, space travel, what we call field travel, going to places, the more we have to teach you to understand more, to see, to explain the basis, the foundation, the work on it. And it's a continuation of the same. There's nothing new. When you test, you ask your friend testing, ask them the next week, how do you feel emotionally? Has there been a change? For you, it was just enough of heat, or somebody came in and feel you felt. This is what we did, knowledge seekers. Come back to us, tell us what's happening, and 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month later, they're still working. Now, you have to move. As they say, if you don't want to be a tomato, you better catch up. And most of our knowledge seekers have stuck to being a tomato. They don't want to catch up.
Hello. Good morning, Mr. Keshe and everybody else. Thank you for this, I can say, delicious words. So simple. So always you say that. And more, I think gets meaning in the mind of people. I think for that soul totality, it needs confrontation. And little by little, I think we have to get there by ethics. I don't know any other way, but just by ethics. And as far as you say, when you go somewhere for dream, at the same time, the other person has the movements and the way is sitting or talking fits the dream. It's not just me who goes to see that person. That person is moving. Sometimes it talks, that person, sometimes it shows what he wants to say. So how about that part? How could we create that other part in the dream?
What do you mean that part? Which part?
Like I dream of somebody, I don't want to say the name. I dream of that person, and then the person is sitting like in the yoga form, and I wanted to touch his knee because I thought his knee is what's that? Is like gonflé. I don't know. It's
pain.
Not pain, but it's like a balloon. It's a big inflated. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wanted to kiss that part of his, and he didn't want me to do that because of the people who were watching. So I got my meaning out of this. I just try to analyze what I saw.
Can I ask you a question? I'm going to put you in a position myself. Who was it?
I don't want to say that.
No, you have to say it. Now I'll put you in a position.
No, please, I cannot.
No, you have to. Now you said it. Now we put you in a position.
This a special dream?
Yeah. Who was it? Pardon?
it was you.
Okay, now I tell you something. I've been suffering from a very painful knee for about 2 weeks.
I can't even say which knee it was.
Both of them.
Yeah, it was both of them. One was worse, the left one, I think.
Yeah. This part of what I go through a lot of. I have had this knee problem from childhood, but now is inflamed, and I have sorted out with gases. So, were you dreaming, or were you connecting to feel the what do you call it, the emotion? So you're 100% correct. You were not dreaming. You're part of it. You've seen it.
Oh.
That's why I pushed you to ask you who, because I knew what the answer will be.
Speechless.
This is part of. I have been wearing knee braces from very young age because of rapid growth. The what we call the ligaments did not grow as fast as the bones, and every now and then I get problems with it. And I've just been to doctors, they've taken MRI. I know what it is now, I'm solving it. But yes, I have that problem for last 2 or 3 weeks. I do a lot of hiking. I even had to stop hiking because of it.
I hope it's better now with CO2 pads.
Now you understand, it's not a dream.
It's amazing. Yeah, man, very, yeah, mind blowing. Okay.
We are part of, when you go somewhere and you see somebody with a pain physically, you see that. I said to the doctor when he did the MRI, he said, you lost the cartilage on kneecap. I said, I built it, I know how to do it. He said, when you're done it, bring it back, it'll be the first one ever done. And now we're building the cartilage using the technology. And I go back to him, they take another MRI. So that's what I say. Is it a dream? Or now we have to learn. Our soul goes. You go and see your brother who's sick, or you go and see your brother says, oh, why you're limping, or why your leg is inflamed. You do that physicality. Now we have enough confidence that our soul does that. And we have to accept it's part of our life. It's not a dream.
Yeah, I really do believe in my dreams. I write
It's
them.
not a dream. You see, change the word dream to go to.
To go to.
Yeah? If you say, I went to, then nobody doubts because you went to. You don't need to say, I had a dream. Yeah? Or I saw such a person. And this was what it was. If you would have said, I met you, Mr. Keshe, and your knee was hurting, how is it? Yeah? Then I would have answered you, yes. Then it would have been a dream, is it? Now it's a reality. You understand the difference?
I'm not that real.
Separation. It doesn't mean to be physical. Physical, it needs is a field, it's an interaction of fields. We have to accept we travel in 2 dimensions.
Thank you.
And just question, do you think the future of this, I think you have already achieved the controlling the gases, taking the fields out by mental decision.
What do you mean?
Is it the future of these I think the future would be the soul decides how things run in physicality.
Yes, that's what we are trying to teach.
Okay.
When you feed it, you can not control it, but you can have an input to it.
The difficult part is how to take out the fields.
No, you don't take out, you allow the fields to take shape of what they want.
By the environment, creating the right environment.
Creating with the right conditions. Yeah.
The right conditions. Thank you very much. I have a small question about my earth is becoming orange. Like I made the 5 cups, and I think the 5th one, which is the earth, is becoming orange. And I think it's I'm making oxide de fer. It's iron. Maybe I had to use galvanized iron.
No, if you do, it means the interact. That's correct.
Because I used iron.
You
Iron
material.
coils. Yeah.
You are supposed to use iron coals, but not coating them, but they nanocoat themselves as well in the bottom cup.
Right.
So it's not
correct.
It happens. It's more or less more direction of the blood color orange will go to.
Yes, that's it. That's right.
Yeah,
And a lot of salt. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's you most probably have a zinc somewhere on the top of the other, and the field connection has linked up. So you're making what we call CH3 initial what I call sugar. And in conjunction with a metal, you're producing with it what we call fundamental hemoglobin.
Yeah, but in CH3, normal CH3, we use galvanized, right?
Yes, but you are not looking at a full 5 stack.
Yeah, right.
You're looking at only one box. It's not a one box anymore. It's all the cups on the top and other elements in the room all connected now.
Beautiful. And
It's
even
just the connection by the wire. The fields are connected.
okay, it's so much. My first cup up is so much. It's about 3 centimeters or more. No, 3 centimeters of gas already. And what can I take out the gas of cup number 1 and put it in another jar and 2, 3, 4, 5 and create the same assembly other
Why
places?
do you change it? Just keep it. It's working. It means your soul is working good.
Yeah, but it's touching the metal.
Just get the injection, get the, what do you call it?
Yeah, take out the gas.
Yeah, get the ampoule and just pull it out.
Okay. And we still cannot drink it. I cannot use this cup 1, which is the soul.
You can use it, but you have to know what you're using it for.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much,
There's a lot
sir.
of advantages. It has a lot of usage.
Oh, okay, so we keep it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. Good luck.
Thank you.
We had a question, Mr. Keshe, in the live stream from CA. How is methane gas created on a matter level? Or more generally, can you tell us anything about the creation of methane gas in the gas units? I think Mr. Keshe might be busy on the other end for a minute here.
Rick, while we're waiting, when I look at the dome and all the wood and resin and everything else, is there a CO2 plasma on there to make sure there's no fire and danger from fire and so on?
There's a pretty heavy nano coating. You saw the mixture that was being brushed onto the wood, that video a little while ago. Did you see that?
Nina Jani's video.
Yeah.
Where he had the workshops. I can go back over. It's quite a long while ago.
No, I mean the one I just showed here.
Oh no, I missed it because my internet just
okay. Let me just show you briefly here. So this is the mixtures that Gianni is using, which includes ganses and oils and wax from bees and a few other odds and ends. The breakdown of plants, nanomaterial from plants. So
amino acids at all.
Yeah, it's got it all in this mixture.
And doesn't he torch the wood first? Lightly torch it?
Yeah, it's pretty well torched, that's for sure. It's got, he calls it, that's the nano coating on the wood. You'll see that shortly in the video here. There's the wood. It's already torched or nano coated, which means they use propane torches or butane or some sort of gas torches and burn the wood. You can see all sides of the wood have been done, and then they nano coat it or coat it with this combination of, like I said, oils and ganses and nanomaterials. So it's a really good preservative. I don't know if it would be a fire coating necessarily, because it does have beeswax and other oils in it. Definitely be a preservative. And because the wood's already got that nano coating, it's actually a hard surface that forms from that process of fire coating the wood. So in a way, the wood gets fireproofed by already burning it first. It's kind of like when they do a back burn in a forest fire. They'll set the woods on fire before the fire gets there in order to burn up the burnable material. So when the fire gets to the back burned area, it'll stop the fire. So in a way, you could think of it that way.
Can I come in? Let's assume they burn it. Yeah, let's assume they burn it. What do we do when we burn? Don't we nano coat copper with burning it? If you go back to Aztec time, Didn't they use ashes to change the land which wasn't cultivatable to become cultivated? Isn't the wood, if it's burned, already in a nano state creating its own fields? Does it need anything, beeswax and the rest with it? This is when I tell you technology knowledge has not been understood. You use a torch, you burn the copper and you put it in and you create a cup one. You use the same torch, burning the wood, and you talk about fire resisting and the other things. But you don't look at it, you actually created nano-coated wood. Has field. It has different field strength than when it was wood. You actually nano-coated it. This is where I tell you there is a knowledge seekers do not understand the totality of the work. I don't think personally any of the beeswax and the rest is needed if it's burnt. You can add other things to create other conditions for it, but on its own will do the same. If it's burnt. Because that wood carries calcium, potassium, zinc, and everything else. You already nano-coated the whole minerals by burning. It's not just a piece of something. It's an amalgamation of the different mixtures. And these people in Romania can check. Make one, burn it with, let's say, pine, and make one from birch. And see if people feel the same in it. They won't. They carry different minerals. Now, this is where the understanding of the technology doesn't fit into, because you don't look at it the way it is. To me, if they burnt the wood and they burnt it properly, don't need to sand it, and they hammer it and make the dome, that'll be a perfect system. You don't need to use any wax beads and other things that you use. Because this living thing wood has all the minerals in it. And you nano-coated the copper, the zinc, and everything else in it. The rest is a gimmick. Because they haven't understood what they've done if they burn the wood. I have walked in many, many fire damaged buildings. And I know they create different emotion. I was aware of this years ago. Part of my companies was buying salvage, fire salvage, and we used to be called 3 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock in the morning, middle of afternoon, there's a fire, insurance companies want to close the case there and then while the fire brigade is there. And when you walk into these fire buildings, you have different emotions. And they give you different emotions because it depends what they've been burned, what has been burned in it, what has been the environment, what the building was built on. And you feel clearly if somebody has died in the fire. It has a different emotion. Now we can explain it, why. And we discuss about Is it burnt? They burnt it how? They sandpapered it. You don't need the wax. You don't need nothing at all. Do you wax your copper wires when you nanocoat them? Do you wax and put other things on your zinc plates when you want to make a gas of zinc or whatever? Unless you're expecting. But this natural entity is a living thing, and its time of is, even now is alive as a wood, has all the minerals in it. Everything you need. You might not get a good potato under this dome, but you might get a very good tomato, because the combination. You take some potato into a birch tree, you might get a very good potato there, but not good tomato, because the fields of the construction nano layers are different, do not fit.
Is it different density?
Doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. You have created the best nanocode for creating a dome. Why do we need a Bixby and other things to it? I couldn't understand. I couldn't even explain this to the people, because they wanted us to participate or support or do something with them, and said, can we allow it to be advertised, and Barbo is advertising it on their behalf. We allow it to go across the Keshe Foundation layers. They don't want anything from it. They don't want to make any money out of it. They just want to share the knowledge. They are devoted knowledge seekers from Romania. Barbo is just the element of bringing them out for others to know. This might feel very good in being in, but would not give the right, what do you call it, fields for a very good cultivation, very good harvest. It grows good, better than the others. But to make it to work for a good harvest, you have to do other things with it. Very simple things. We have to understand what the structure is to be and has done and will be. If you use it for us to walk in, you have to change the design slightly. If you want to walk in or have a cultivation in it, you have to decide what kind of cultivation you want to do in this building. And it still needs some alteration.
Hello, Mr. Keshe. Can I ask you a question? We are Gianni and Horacio from Romania.
Yep.
I just want to understand better. If we combine the burning wood with the nano plants that we talk about, does it mean that we combine the fields of the wood and the fields of the plant in the structure of the dome?
You can do, but still is part missing.
I understand.
You see, this is what I tell you. Are you growing the whatever you grow on a table? Are you growing it by digging a hole and putting the seeds or the roots or the onions in for them to grow? And then you have to understand how and why. Yes. If you're building it for somebody, you're the people who are making it, correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay. When we talked last time about it, this is what I wanted to explain, but I left it, maybe you matured to it. But if you are getting people to come in, you need to put some of this wood on the floor, that you close the circuit. You don't need to cover the full floor. You understand? You need some of
Yes,
this
yes.
wood that you create the envelope. You haven't created the envelope. The earth is still affecting the fields of it. You just put a dome on it and the fields are there. If you're cultivating for food, you get the same wood and you pin 10 pins or whatever into the ground, that the fields go down, reach the roots. You get 10 times more harvest than the way you're doing it now.
Yes, but we are already doing that by grounding the dome. We are using the sticks that we are now covering with fire, and we sticking it at the ground.
No. You have to do this in the center of the dome.
I understand.
But there is no construction. There is no thing, because you have to pull the fields into the center that everything can be done. And then in different positions, you understand?
Yes, sir, I understand now.
Yeah. So this is what is missing, and you'll have a much different results. You don't need the honey and the other things you add to it.
That's a combination to add the nano plants, so that we can
Yeah,
bind
but
it
don't,
with,
you're using a wood as a plant itself. Why do you want to do it more?
because we want to incorporate the nano copper and nano zinc from the
It's already in the plant. There's already zinc and copper are part of the structure of the tree.
Yes, you're right, sir. Yes.
You understand? When you burn it, you already have reached it. The wax you use is the sap which comes out of the tree. It becomes that. If you want to enhance other things with it, yes. If you want to change the what do you call it, different harvest, maybe you can do. But you have to bring the fields where they are needed. As a home, as a place to live in, you are camel bird, because you still have the fields of the earth. You need to put some of these wood across the floor, that you bring the fields in, not random, from the base up. If you cultivate, you have to pin into the ground to the depth and below cultivation, that the fields go into the ground. We get totally different harvest. Test this with what they call Roman gardens. I don't know if you're familiar with the Roman gardens. Romans didn't have a garden the way we are used to it. If you go to south of Italy, on the west towards Sicily, you see a lot of these gardens where they make the Lemoncello and that kind of things with. Romans have a if you go to Sorrento, you see a lot of these gardens, especially in city center in Sorrento. They build the gardens in a stacker unit. In a way, the trees which are very tall and give the fruit, they made those, and then you see a gap of 2 or 3 meters, and then they planted another tree which needs 6 meters high, and then they plant tree which is 4 meters high, and then they go another plant which is ground level. The lights, they use different lights for it. So when you go in a Roman garden, in a normal garden, you go along on the ground 10 meters. Romans go up 10 meters, and they use different, what do you call it, levels of trees for different heights for getting fruits from them. And if you do the same thing in this dome, plant trees that give fruits in different heights and see how the variation is. But usually Roman gardens, you can hardly grow anything on the ground because all the lights and everything is absorbed by the trees above. It's very barren. Try that and see what fruits, what vegetation you can grow, and how is the effect of it. You know, in Romania, you make beautiful watermelons coming from the south. Try to see if you can replicate the same watermelons in the north.
You mean half a dome up the ground and half dome inside
No,
the
no,
ground?
just put different tables, different height plants.
Yeah, I understand.
You understand? And see how it changes.
This is the idea of the food forest. You know, the same structure, the
This
same
is known as a Roman garden. Romans were well known in past centuries to use these gardens. The island is a small island population. They couldn't have long garden, big gardens. So they went up vertically.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Cash, Dream has the same thing, like different density, different layer. I understand that.
Can you repeat?
Dream has the same density, different layer of density.
What? I can't understand.
Dream. I'm
Dreams.
talking about,
I
yeah.
presume
dreams.
so. Does burning have different intensity?
Yeah.
And so is the dream.
Yeah.
It's how you are connected to and what you connect to and how you want to be connected to.
Yes.
If we don't call it a dream and say, people, I went there, but you were here, you couldn't be in New York with your brother, but I've been there. So we start accepting the existence of souls. Then it doesn't become a dream. People know you're physically here, so you must have gone with soul. The culture of understanding has to change. Because we denied. Now you understand in a way why in past years I always call the schizophrenic the beautiful people. Because we are beautiful.
Yes, everything is clear now. Thank you.
You understand? We denied our other half. Now we have to accept it because now we have a machine, we can show it. Now we have 2 machines, soon we have 4 machines. Very soon there'll be hundreds of these machines around the world. Do you pick up a phone and call your mother, or you go to an enhancement center and meet your mother in person because you say, I'm going to be talking to you today, but we'll meet in the soul level and we chat everything else and we enjoy each other. You know, in olden days, when we used to work in Africa, if we wanted to call another city, we had to make a time, such and such a time, 2 or 3 days ahead. They informed the other side, you send a letter, 2 weeks later, such a day, I'll be on the phone, and they know they're going to be a call to go to the other side who had more phone in the whole village. We'll go through that primitive condition very soon. Where we go to places where there are machines that we can go to the soul and, you know, now I want to talk to mom. Mom knows that time will be the time I call her. And we go for lunch. You don't need to go all the way to New York or go to Mars to see mom. These are the realities which will become part of our life very, very gradually. And once we jump in it, like in mobile phones, will just become part of our life. I see in the very near future, 2 mobile phones transmutation will be complete. Means if you put 2 mobile phones, one on the ground, one on the top, and get in between it, you can transmit yourself. It's not, it's physically can be done. We have to reach the knowledge of technology to develop it, to be able to do it. It goes back to what I said years ago. With 2 mobile phones, you can do everything.
Thank you.
Is there a way, Mr. Keshe, that you have found to retain more of the what we call dream when we awaken and what we call awakening? Is there a way to retain more of that within the moments after we get up?
Pardon?
Have you experienced anything that can assist in retaining more of that, what we call a dream, when we wake up in the morning?
It's denial of having the dream, being there. You know, you have a dementia in a physical condition. You create dementia deliberately in the soul condition. And by strengthening the soul, that dementia disappears. You'll remember most of it, you'll see most of it. And you don't need to see it to remember it, because you rely on the strength of the soul that has been there and done and takes you there. There's a big difference in still looking for a confirmation and actually believing in existence. And most of us in the human body, we still wait for a physical confirmation. You see, something which we talked even in a teaching of last Thursday or even on Friday, on Sunday, we have not stopped the development of the health aspects of the technology outside Europe. The health aspects of technology, especially in China, is on a full blast. Who lost? Who lost with all this mishandling of the Belgians? Europeans and Americans. Have you seen us in past 5 years not doing the Parkinson in China, not doing the Alzheimer's, not walking the guy who was paralyzed? Technology doesn't stop with one part of the world deciding we put our head under the snow like a pheasant. And how would you feel? We feel, knowing in one part of the world we are pushing the health application with the government to the realms of unbelief in the West, but is reality in China. You watched, all of you watched for past 4 years, 5 years, we showed the, what do you call it, the Parkinson case and other cases, the blind guy from, what do you call it, diabetic. Did you ever stop asking yourself some question? Haven't the Belgians put a restriction on Mr. Keshe for 5 years? Yes, 5 years the West lost and China gained. Hugely gained. What is happening in the hospitals of China with Keshe and this technology is beyond your dream. For you, it's a fairy tale. For them, it's a reality. It works. This is the dream. How many of you in the West could have been benefited by this technology? The Chinese are doing. We haven't stopped. In the West, you lost. progressive development by government-sponsored cases, not by individuals. Doesn't stop. Does not stop. It will never stop.
Mr. Keshe, out of interest, was it your right knee or your left knee that you were having most of the problem with?
Both knee.
Say again, sorry?
Both of them.
Waste of time, okay.
Why?
I've just been, over the last couple of weeks, has gotten better, but my right knee got really bad for about 3 weeks. And over the last couple of weeks, it's gotten much better. So I was just wondering whether it was your right knee or your left knee.
It's all the same. It's part of, it's how I was born. Both are the same.
Okay, thanks.
I've also had a heck of a time with my knees during the spring and summer, and only in the last couple of weeks they've been starting to get a little better, actually.
You're a bunch of old people, aren't we?
I've had trouble since my childhood with my knee when I was tackled playing touch football, and it twisted my knee and gave me grief through my whole life. Basically, it weakened it and tore the cartilage and that kind of thing. So I know what that's like.
We can produce cartilages, we can produce ligaments. But the problem is not producing it. It's controlling it. If you push too much, if you produce too much, then the cartilage will grows in the other parts. You just don't grow, but it's not, but it's damaged, but everywhere else grows. And if you get too much of it, then the knee locks because it cannot move. There's too much cartilage being produced.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a technique, it's an art to make it. And it takes a long time to produce the ganses for it. It took me nearly a month and a half to produce the right ganses for it. And I just carried as a spray on my table and just sprayed when it's needed, where it's needed. And the gradually builds. It builds micron by micron.
That means bunch of older people getting younger right now.
No, you don't want to know what we can do with people with this technology. People get to places. We realized this, I explained this before, years ago in early 2005, 6, we realized, 7, we realized what this technology can do for the, what I call living a good life. Go back to the videos on the internet, 2008, 2009. Dutch used to put a lot of videos, 2009, 2000, of the things they used to do with me. I used to do a lot of things with the Dutch community. People who couldn't walk, they go cycling. People who couldn't do things, they used to do all sorts of things. I see in the background some of the knowledge seekers, on some days we have a lady who in 2008, 9 was in the wheelchair with MS and wasn't given much life, a lawyer. And I see her, she comes in the teachings. 15 years, 20 years later, and she's not in a wheelchair anymore.
We had quite an amazing testimonials meeting on Monday with several dozen testimonials were either read out or people talking about them personally. And it was quite amazing. Many touching stories of people's lives totally changed by encountering the plasma technology in whichever way they did. Some people, just the influence of a maggrav was enough to change the mood in their household and make a tough situation tolerable and even enjoyable. And others have expressed extreme gratitude. One person, it was gratitude 4 times in a row, as just to emphasize their gratitude for being given the knowledge that they did to help themselves, essentially, or having a connection with someone who helped them to get the materials they needed, or just simply the support in order to make the changes inside themselves. And it's quite amazing. It's even to me, after hearing testimonials for years and years, the Brazilian team in particular had a whole series of testimonials that they got from their members, and quite incredible. A lot of thanks out there for you, Mr. Keshe, and your teachings.
You know, I used to have a lawyer in England. Every time we met and I said, thank you very much, he said, don't thank me, pay me. With this technology, don't thank me, thank the Creator, which has created such a beautiful life and knowledge. It's for all of us, you just got to understand how to use it.
Anyone else like to come forward with a question or comment here?
Mr. Keshe, I have one further question. When you make the bottle in in the universe, what's the optimum color? What color do you get? Is the liquid black, brown? When you get it really, really right?
I don't understand what you're talking about.
When you make the bottle in the universe in a bottle, the KT liquid that comes out of it, what is the optimum color?
It all depends. Usually I have liquid left in it because I'm not like you, just get it black and run. I leave it in there as long as it takes, and usually makes a hole at the bottom or destroys the cap, just leaks out. But in general, it could be any color. You don't get a clear water as you put it in. There's maybe now knowledge seekers can understand more. You cannot connect a nano material, you cannot weld a nano material, you cannot seal a nano material. If you put a nanowire through a container, you cannot fix it permanently with hot glue or glues, because the nanomaterial grows and moves. It's like putting, cover over a tube that is loose. Nano layer over the copper is loose material. And if you understand that, then you understand that you're open to the elements of the environment. Anything can come in actually through that hole to become part of the mixture. If you ever made the Coca-Cola bottle, you see it after a while, even your hot glue separates from the plastic. So it could be anything, any color, depends what's in the environment.
Was the actual cola itself, like Coca-Cola or whatever, part of the formula, or you just got rid of all that?
No, drank it all before I get drunk on it and make the bottle.
Didn't certain formulas have some sugar added as part of the ingredient, or is that in like
No,
plasma capacitors, perhaps?
No.
Or plasma battery?
Don't use the sugar. Sugar, it was for another purposes. But different intensity of heat uses to creates you need different materials to mix with the what do you call it, with the system, with the mixture. I have to go into another meeting. Sorry, I came here to be a student. I end up doing all the work.
Sorry about that. Thank you so much for attending, Mr. Keshe.